Editor Arcturus here. We had a really good episode of Wars going on today. Unfortunately, the video corrupted after about 36 minutes, but I really think it was a worthwhile discussion and I wanted to put it out anyway. So please enjoy. Hello, it's Arcturus and we are back for Wars Going On.
Hello, everybody. Sebastian Keynes here. Remember, War Going On is a community-based series where we cover the ongoings of Watcher of Realms. We choose the topics based on our community's feedback. If you're interested, please join us on our Discord. Invitation code is Dragon Slayers. And look for the Wars Going On thread. Go ahead. Tell us what you feel about the game, what you like, what do you like. And we actually then dissect out those topics and we bring them over for a discussion such as this one. And remember to hit like and subscribe to get notified for future episodes. In this one, we're going to be covering content in the game, content that has been released, content that they have stated is coming, and what we hope to see in the future. But for this episode, we thought we would bring in a special guest because this gentleman certainly knows content, and we want to get his input while we discuss the ongoings of Watcher of Realms. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Mordor Mike. You probably know about this gentleman. Hello, Mordor Mike. Thank you very much for joining us on Wars Going On.
Arcturus, Sebastian, it is a pleasure to be here. I hope y'all are having an awesome time. I've been looking forward to this for weeks, so this is going to be an episode to remember. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you. And we save this topic specifically for you because you and I off stream or whatever you're gonna call it, not recording, unfortunately, we got into it, right? And we started going over what we hope to see, and we kind of started also delving into what a previous game that we used to play and what we don't want to see. So
yes,
yeah, we hopefully get it
involving pillaging and raiding, something like that.
Exactly. So we hope to cover it. But let's start out with War is Going On, and let's get some of the drama out of the way. So there were two heroes, Arcturus, that we kind of had some beef with. Yeah. One of them was Magda. What happened?
Magda. So Magda is the cultist fighter. So she's got this skill called Electric Torrent. It's this passive, and the idea is that when she's put on the field, she gives her allies a penetration bonus and a damage increase. What happened was that the devs managed to change the effective range of this. So let me just show. So her basic attack range is this. So this is basic attack range, and when she was originally deployed, what was actually happening was it was applying in the 8 squares around her and her attack range. So you got a nice circle effect of this electric torrent boosting allies, which meant she could apply out this bonus to all of her allies, which means they could kill people really quickly. What happened was.
I'm sorry, but yeah, so one of the things was that I was doing something with Semrah 1 and Forerunners, and I had placed her specifically in one tile because I was going to surround her with the units that were doing DPS damage to try to boost that damage. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed was that the buffs were not going on, and I was wondering, is this a visual thing? What is going on? And sure enough, it wasn't. There was no damage increase. So at the time, I thought, maybe it was a shadow nerf that we didn't know about. But in Forerunners, for the extent of her lifetime in the game, that's what made her so good. And that's why when Mordor Mike and I got together and talked about heroes that we should consider using, she was one of the ones that we picked because she boosted damage. And the fact that they what we know now is that they broke her. That's what added a little bit to the drama, and I'm glad that they put her back to what it was.
Yeah, I mean, because on Forerunner server, she's been around since like August, September time last year. So for it as soon as she hit global for this change to come, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth for us because we got used to playing her in this certain way. And if it was a bug, then fair enough. The devs should have come forward and like given people reset books for her and things. But no, they have admitted that this was a problem and they've done and they've reset it to how she was working. So
All right. So with that one out of the way, now the one that we're contending with is Lucius and Semrah. Okay. So
Oh boy.
Arthur, fill us in.
oh
Kind of fill me in because I'm out of the loop as to
okay,
what
so
exactly is going on. Because the ages mode is one thing, but then apparently Lucius is doing another. So what exactly is going on here?
so
Wars going
so
on.
what is going on? So wow, Lucius. So what we've had is Lucius. He's been introduced to the game. His main feature, which makes him really unique, is the fact he can dispel buffs. Now, currently, no other hero in the game can do this feat. And what's happened? There's been a lot of discomfort with the way he was working. So the devs rebalanced how his ultimate was working. So rather than when he was first released, on the test server, he was a percentage chance to dispel. But when he came to release, they changed it so that it was the first four attacks of his first four pursuits, correction, of his ultimate meant that he would dispel a buff. But people felt that that wasn't working effectively enough, and so the devs have changed it again. And now the first attack, when the ultimate is executed, dispels up to 5 buffs. So it's a big change in what's been happening to him. However, today, as of so what's this, 6th of July, 7th of July, a new evidence has come to light that the the Semrah Aegeus mode just is not working at all well. Fastidious had done a really detailed video that he submitted to the devs, and it shows that the bonus that he's supposed to be dispelling isn't happening at all. It's you're dispelling an icon, but you're not dispelling the status effect. And no matter how long the
I
Aegeus
see.
mode goes on, the
Oh
the
boy.
damage coming from the boss is continuing to increase. It's a real
For,
mess.
so it's for display purposes only.
So
Gotcha.
this is not a problem with the hero then. This is a problem with the mechanic going on with Semrah right now, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. So one of my understanding was that there was also a misconception as to how the Aegis mode is supposed to work, because for those of us, especially you and I, Arcturus, that have been in Forerunners dealing with him, and especially Apocalypse 2, the first time that he gets into that mode, in the shield mode, the first turn that he takes, he puts in 1 buff, and then the next turn he gets 2,
Yeah.
and then 3, right? And then if we get him out of that mode, now we cycle through the other ones. But when we come back to it, the first turn he takes is he puts up 2,
Yeah.
and then the next one he puts up 4. So now you have 6. So we always had to contend with the 6 every time in the second turn. What
Yeah.
people apparently were misunderstanding is that after Lucius dispelled the buffs, however many he was able to do, for me it was usually 3 or 4 that I could get.
Yeah.
But in the next turn, you would then see 4 again, or if you stuck in the mode too long, you would then see all 6 again. So correct me if I'm wrong then. Is that something the Aegis mode supposed to be exactly as it's described, right? It's not that Lucius is not working how he was supposed to be intended. Before they made the modification that his first ult hit would remove all 5 or remove up to 5.
Yeah. So I think, from my understanding, it is that Lucius graphically, because we know it's not functionally working, is working as intended, and that he was supposed to be dispelling the buff. So a dispel is you remove it, but it doesn't reset where the boss is in his progress tracker. So his next turn, he would reapply the buff up to what level he's expecting to be. So as you said, going from 2 to 4 to 6. So that
Exactly.
So what we're
Okay.
saying here is this sounds really like a big bug, and it sounds like a bug that they worked on Semrah for a long time, but they may not have anticipated how Lucius is going to work with Semrah. So what's happening is you have more of a workload than just a hot fix. So, like, say for example, if they fix Lucius, then you got to fix the animations on the Aegis arm, and that's got to be you got to go back and recode that to only show 2 instead of the number keep going up or whatnot. So I'd be interested to see how they fix it. Now, if we wanted to talk about a solution, I have a solution in mind that may solve the problem, and that's just allow. Now, this is a coding thing, so this is for them to do work now. But for them to allow the option of Lucius to just apply a block bust for 30 seconds. And that just gives you your window to do your damage. You know that you have a 30-second window to do what you need to do. It's just long enough to get things going. After that, I don't know what happens next. If it restarts at 1, that's even better. But I think it'll probably just pick up where it was. It just gets delayed or like nullified for a while. And then you have something that works and you at least know what to expect in other content in the game. But hey, he stops busts from coming. That's my idea. I don't know if it's a quick fix or quick option, but right now, like the idea, the hot patch that they did, maybe because there's more work to be done under the hood to fix a problem like that.
Yeah,
I just think
I'll
of
try
like
using...
the animations. Yeah. I wonder if like the animations of like Semrah has to change. Like if debuffs are removed, does he have to pretend to look stunned or something? Like, do you have to include that in there? Do you have to physically see the dial go back on the shield? Is that more stuff they have to deal with? So I'm interested to see how this works. I think that that's the big hang up that people are running into also. Like, what's the proof that this is working, not just the icons going?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did try using Lucius in beta 12 of the anniversary event to see if I could try and dispel the buff on Valderon to see if I could kill him easier, but he wasn't working there either. But I think what we're going to see is if we have dispelled heroes, we're going to see more bosses who are immune to that status effect because otherwise it becomes too easy because you just deploy him and then they'll do something clever.
Yeah, there's a cakewalk.
Well, in the same way that Boreas has been nerfed back in how you can affect him, so we'll see more stuff like that.
But that's what's going to go to is that whatever changes we do make to Lucius, I think that right now they just too many changes going on with this hero right now because he started out one way, they changed him before he was released, and now is a guaranteed dispel on the first attack. Don't be careful how you're dealing with the hero. Don't change him too much. Make sure that the Aegis mode is working as intended. The one thing that I don't want to see is that Lucius is going to become a crutch for people and that think that this is the only way they're going to be able to move up in the Apocalypse 2, right? We just settle him out. Don't make him too overpowered for that specific mode. And then let's just hope that they fix whatever it is that the coding is not really translating to when people are really analyzing numbers as Arturo's just said that Fastidious did. So let's hope that let's cross our fingers.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's probably my favorite part is that don't forget this is for one arm of a 3-arm, 2-phase, 3-phase boss.
Exactly.
So yeah, this one champion does have an issue, but it's an issue that can be fixed. It doesn't mean that the content is terrible. It means there's a bug.
Exactly.
There isn't a gacha game I play that doesn't have a bug. Like, yeah, so I'd imagine like give them like a week or so. I would say a week is a pretty tough time frame, but they're really good at responding in this game. So I give them like a week, work on it. In the meantime, make sure you can get some debuffs going, which I want to see more of them. But I'm like 3 topics ahead here. Well,
yeah, exactly. But the other thing that the other thing that I have on my notes that got fixed, apparently there was the anti-healing bug. Some people took advantage of that, but apparently there was
20 hours from it being the first video coming out to it being fixed. I mean, they saw that and they just hit it hard. Even on a Sunday,
you knew it was coming.
Yeah,
I think exactly. People acknowledge that it's a bug though. Like you have to when you hear the term "it's a bug," expect it to be fixed. Don't be upset when it does. It's a bug. It's supposed to be squished.
Exactly. Which is something that some people don't know. I and Arturo's found out a bug with Valkyra and Arena, and we didn't share it. We kept it quiet. We reported it as a bug, and we were just hoping that it got fixed as soon as possible. So when
oh my gosh.
If it would have gone public, people would have abused it. And so it's just one of those things. If content creators are going to do that, make sure you tell them this is a bug. We expect them to fix it. What I'm hoping is that they take the same amount of time to fix whatever Lucius Aegis mode drama it is going on right now as they did with the anti-heal effect.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
and
right.
I'll
So,
say also too, this just to mention, this is the weekend for them. Like
yes,
most
it
of
is.
them are not at the computer right now,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
But
it's
they,
kind of like a weekend to rant about it. But like they'll come in on Monday, like, okay, we were going to fix it in 2 days. It took 2 days because we're not in the office.
all right. So, in terms of then reworking heroes and stuff like that, let's talk about the one big buff. I think I'm gonna call it a buff
Mhm.
that the Watcher's Lord just received here in Forerunners. It's in the test
Mhm.
server. Hopefully, as soon as it rolls out to global. But also, Admiral Claw got a little bit of a rework, a little bit. But let's talk
Okay.
about the Watchers first. Arturo, set us up there, please.
Okay, so I believe you'll have to. I don't have Leia, so you'll have, if anyone who's more familiar with her will have to dive in here. So they've
Oh
increased
yes, let's do it.
the faction
Let's jump
bonus for her from, I believe it's 30% is what it currently is, to 50%.
in, which
Uh,
is lovely.
yeah, it's a big buff for her. And then they've changed the increased damage rate from 15% to 25%, I think is the change there.
That is a big boost. That is
Yes,
going to be a
huge
large boost.
for a Lord bonus. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just affecting the Lord bonus for Blessing of the Light 3 and Blessing of the Light 2, which is on Ain. Has got a small buff and it's gone from, I think, 15%. Sorry, clicking on the wrong things. Gone from 20% to 30%. So there's a small buff there as well. So
I like it. I like it, and it's good too because to be fair, it's awesome when you pull somebody like a Leia in the game. But then I was a little bit set back when the only thing people say was, "Okay, don't build her like a healer." I was like, "Wait, what? Build her this specific way for Guild Boss and never use her again." I was like, "Wait, what? This is a
No,
legendary Lord."
and now she will be a healer. And not only
Yeah,
that, she was a damage boost. So I'm looking forward to the change. I imagine that this has a lot to do with the new Lord coming out that the leakers have reported on and that we already seen in the test server, Mike. It that they're releasing in there, but I imagine that there'll be other watchers that are also going to be released. So they want to make sure that this faction is a little bit more playable. The one
yeah.
thing that I'm curious about in Forerunners is, or in the at least in the test server, I think I can get a little bit more away with it. Is I want to see now if Crutch does a little bit more damage when he is A5, because that'll be a boost for him. So you know, I'm to make a faction more playable. I'm always going to be for that, and to bring it up to par to the other ones that we have in the game. Why not? I don't see any too much uh, of a downside with this.
yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people
Yeah.
crying that Venoma is awkward to use and a useless lord, and people only bring her onto the field just because of that rage boost. But actually, she can be quite effective, especially with her ability to apply curse. So she's got something unique about her, whereas so the Watcher faction is generally feeling a little bit lacking. So hopefully, them a bit more competitive with the others.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one that got a minor change was Admiral Claw.
Yeah, so Admiral Claw. Now, this wasn't really a change. This was a clarification. So,
Okay.
it's the a change on the Soul Lasher and the Bloodstorm Annihilation mode. So the Soul Lasher, which is on screen behind you, it now says that when he does the Soul Lasher move and he pulls them in, he does a stun for 0.3 seconds. So it's a really, really, really tiny stun, but it's probably just enough to interrupt an attack. And then during the Bloodstorm Annihilator, which is really clumsily worded, it dispels. Is it dispels the stun?
Well, the way that I took it is that it says that the stun will be removed.
That's right.
I'm wondering if they mean that when this passive is active that he cannot stun, because I have not seen,
Mhm.
well, even though it's only 0.3 seconds, it's really hard to see.
Yeah.
I do not see the enemies get the stun removed. I just think that when he's doing that, he's just not going to be able to stun anybody. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's the correct terminology that they use there.
I think it's a translation issue. I think it's when in Bloodstorm Annihilator mode, he doesn't stun because he's doing so much extra damage. So they had to balance it. So because he's already losing a lot of health, so he's chaotic. So it's a risk versus reward mode. So he's pulling them in close. He's doing extra damage because he's bleeding out, but then he's not interrupting their attacks, which he might be if he was doing the Soul Lasher. So
okay, all right, that pretty much. I don't.
Now.
Yeah, well, I don't have him, so I don't know how much of an effect it is. So I guess those that own him will probably see the change and see how good or bad it is, and down the line. But just adding a stun, it's just a CC effect. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. So here are other patch or changes that have been made. So promotion rate got a change in Forerunners. I'm thinking that this is going to come into global. More specifically, they addressed Extreme 1 and 2 stages. And now Extreme 1 is going to drop Insignias 1 and 2. And Extreme 2 is going to drop Insignias 1, 2, and 3. Now, the thing is that they're now making this more consistent. Every run is going to drop 5 Insignias. And then, additionally to that, you're going to have a chance to get a legendary extract or a mythic extract on top of that.
Ooh, so it's like a guaranteed chance of each.
Exactly.
I didn't know that part. Okay,
so,
that's even better. Yeah.
For mid game or early, those that get mid game that can unlock these stages going into the late game, this will become beneficial for them because they'll get to replenish all their insignias, go hunting for the extras that they need to promote the heroes. Once you are swimming in the extracts, though, that's when you're going to go back to 15 because 15 actually drops more legendary insignias still. So they made a change to benefit the early game player, not necessarily the end game player here.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. I think if you know what the issue is, like what the change is, then you'll be fine. But I think also after you've done 100 runs of promotional raid, like, wait, I don't need these blue ones anymore. But you're just gonna look at the other ones and figure it out. It may take you some energy if you don't watch a video on it, but I think it's wonderful because, like you said, if you started playing the game and you max this out, it's going to be great for 80% of the player base that's playing this game that need these. I just need a way to get more of those legendary extracts because I'm at 1 out of 4 like 6 days out of the week.
I've got hundreds. If I could send them to you, I would.
Yeah,
I'll be open for them.
All right, then other minor changes that happened, and you kind of already illustrated it here, Arturos, was that the hero interface got to change, the gallery got to change a little bit. But one of the interesting things now, so we are more aware of how rage regeneration is actually working, is that in the hero interface, they're actually now being distinct in saying, here's how much rage regen they will get if they're being attacked, and here's how much based on their basic attack.
So I'm just going to move you two out of the way just for a moment so that people can see this on the screen.
Okay.
So what we have is we have now, as I say, so we've got the Rage Regen Auto here, which is what you've got currently on Global. And then we've got the Rage Regen Basic and the Basic Attack and the Rage Regen Attack. Now, these things have been in the data files for a long time, and we know who have been doing data mining have had access to them. And now it's just kind of like opening it up to everyone else who's got that same amount of information available to them. So I like it. It's good. It's more data to the community. It allows you to do a bit more thinking about how your defenders work. So obviously you don't build a speed defender, you build a defender to receive attacks because that's generally where they're generating their rage from, rather than by attacking, they're getting it by being hit. So you build them accordingly.
Yeah. I like when they add more of the stuff like this. It's just more things to fiddle with. It's more stuff to min-max. It's great for in-game players, and it's just refreshing for new. Well, it may be a little more work for newer players because they're like, what is all of this? But that's what the magical power of YouTube is for. You can ask a question and learn some stuff too. So.
But then at the same time, though, that this also adds information, though, that allows you to properly build a hero to make sure that they excel at the according to their kit. So, like Arturo said, Regulus has one of the highest that I think that I saw in terms of the rage region when he's attacked. So maybe you don't want to add him too much speed to him. You want to go HP and defense and try to focus there. And that's then maybe he would be behaving like a better tank for you.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of rage regen off his basic anyway, so he's stacking up in multiple ways. So yeah, there's just different ways of building him to get it, and yeah, it does help with that. How do I best get the best out of my characters?
I don't anticipate this to roll out into the global servers until probably the anniversary is done, but gear dungeons have been expanded to 10 stages now. So I am trying to hold out my farming as much as I can in global for these gear dungeons, because stage 10 of course is going to drop a little bit more, and so I'm trying to save my keys for that. But we have now 10 stages here, and of course 10, the difficulty was scaled up. So the previous 6 is now 9. The previous 5, I think, is now 7. So they did add some in-between levels, so people felt like they were able to move a little bit more according to their account, and you don't feel that steepness that you felt going from stage 2 to 3 through to 4, 4 to 6.
Yes, yeah. Especially when you figure out one of those debuffs are in play, and you're like, oh wait, they auto heal now. Okay.
yeah,
they don't
absolutely.
Get the anymore. Okay.
I've looked at 10, and everyone I know who's done it is like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that ever again with Power of Dominance off. I've done it. I've got the reward. I'm farming it, but don't ask me to record it because it's horrible.
Yeah. But I think that's good, though. I love the idea of them stretching the stages out. The best part about that is that you have your area you can stop at. And I think a lot of people in the game, when they're playing this game, they think they have to hit level 10. That's not realistic. There's some of us there's some people that spend 5 figures in this game already easily, and they're not getting the highest level done because there's other stuff you got to consider, or there's heroes you got to have, and all that. And it's very in-game content. There's a reason it's at the bottom of the list. When you scroll in the gear raids, it's at the very bottom of what stuff it is. So I think people should also know, like, don't think that because it's hard it's impossible. You're just not there yet, or you don't understand something in the game. You're learning. Take a little time. Not every strategy guy is going to get you there.
No, it's very much a case of like going, okay, what carries have I got? What carries I don't care? Because I was stuck for ages in the gear dungeon. I suddenly went, wait a second, I can use arrogance in the bottom row. And as soon as I started using him, half my problems went away because I don't have Ardia to do that long range attack, but I do have an A5 arrogance, and he just like slaps anything which gets close. So a tank in front of him, arrogance just clears everybody out, and that's the bottom lane covered. So
and you learn stuff along the way too. This is just a gem for anybody that's watching it. If you're using like a Zillatu who does magical damage, don't give her Wailing Skull for this, because Wailing Skull applies physical damage, which is why you're seeing the issues of like, hey, why am I getting more enemies? That's why. That's stuff that you learn along the way as you keep playing. So you're not going to perfect. You can be like, why am I not getting the same results? You got to learn it. You got to learn. This is the reason why it's a geared dungeon. You're going to be there for a while.
All right. So then the other changes that Arcturus and I have actually now gotten adjusted to it. We're kind of learning about it a little bit more, but the big change is to guild versus guild. Not only do we have a new tower map, they didn't change the central keep. They just focused on the tower map. And they also added a restart button on the friendlies, which is really helpful because now we don't have to exit out all the time that we're doing custom testing. But the new map, Arcturus, are you putting that up? Yes, you are.
Yeah,
perfect.
I brought it up.
So
this is the new map. So rather than it just being a straight linear progression, it's a much longer path. There are different. I'm just going to pull out a ground hero here. So there's fewer tiles for you placing ground heroes, and they're a bit more bunched up. It's very much more. You can't have your archers hidden away. You can't have your mages hidden away who are applying loads and loads of damage. They're much more front and center. So you need to be a bit more strategic about how you use them. And it's much harder to defend, I think. It's much easier to attack than the previous setup.
Yeah. It looks that way as I'm viewing it. Like even like I've seen it before, but like even looking at what you have to place down, this is also good too. I'll be honest. Two reasons. One, because defense in GvG, in my personal opinion, was starting to get stale. If you didn't know this comp, you're not going to do good in GvG. And I think that discouraged a lot of people from even trying because it was like, I have no way of beating this team. They got all the end level champions. I can't even do damage to the guy in the front. Like, what's going on? Um, and this game honestly should be something where you can lose, but the benefit should be going to the attackers. They have all the planning. They do everything live. Somebody else did their defenses the night before, On their way to sleep, they press the button and lock their gear in. The person that's coming in here live should have an advantage. So it's going to be interesting. I do think the long range champions are going to have a really good time in here. Like your Volcra, your the new one that's going to be on the way. I think her name is
Dahlia,
Ingrid.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ingrid as
and then
well.
Dahlia also and Ardea. So they're going to have an interesting time, but at the same time, there's still going to be a lot of weaknesses. I'm looking forward to it. I have a person in our guild literally almost daily. I think his name is Guns. Almost daily, he's like, GvG maps win. Can you let me know when they're coming? So I always get reminded of this. So he's going to be. He found this news out before me, which is funny. But
BluntGuts has
good.
done a video on some testing of different, sort of the different long-range units, so the mages and the
Mhm.
archers. And if I remember, I'll try and put a link in the show notes. Which he's like done different testing in which are the dead squares, because in the current tower square, large towers, there are two squares where if you put anybody, they'll just get wiped out straight away.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so he's done some of that. So some useful background information. And obviously, the spider bomb strategy is going to have to be rethought because it's a much longer path. So timings are going to have to be
Mhm.
relearned on that.
Yeah, and then don't let your spider don't let your bomb go from level 4 to level 5 over the weekend. All your strategy goes out the window because he's faster now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good because I think that this content should always be evolving. This is one challenge that I had with the game I played before. They put content out and they don't do a lot of editing or rework into it. And so you end up with, I say this all the time, Hydra heads that hasn't been a new one for 3 years because the content is just out and existing. Or, Life Token Shop or all of these other things they just put out and they're not reworked, they're not updated for the content, for the players. I like this because it challenges us to think again, to plan again, to come up with really cool strategies. Like Carnelian wasn't even thought about until like a few months into GvG, and people start figuring it out. So I can't wait to see what people come up with. That's gonna blow people's mind. You're gonna be like, wait, I don't use that champion. Like Lily, she became great in GvG. Like I
Uh,
love the fact
Yep.
that people can think of strategies like this. So
Yeah,
I'm
she's the
interested in it.
queen of my defender, my large
Yeah,
garrison defense. Everyone hates it. It causes problems even for some of the largest guilds on the server, just because she's just in the way and and is a good blocker.
yeah,
But yeah,
So the only thing that I want to add on top of what you two have already stated on this, it's that at least in this map, what I'm learning too is that it's not like the other one that the Arturos mentioned. It was linear, so you could kind of do your first strategy, and if that didn't work, you then could work to your second one. In
mhm,
this one, because of the longer path, the time will run out on you a little bit quicker. So it's almost like you have to release your second plan, hoping that your first one works.
it
And if
works.
your
Yes.
first one doesn't work, you're gonna get clapped. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how the players that don't have everything level 5, how they
Mhm,
adjust to it. Because I think with the level 5, it's gonna be a lot easier to get away with a mistake or two. But at least
mhm.
from what you're gonna get run out of time if you just waiting for something to happen. You
yeah. If
cannot.
only
You
they've
you have
released
to.
a demon who let you move your heroes around the map a little bit faster. I mean, just
Yeah, I know, but he does he does take a slot, and you have to plan what to do with the other four, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just telling people, readjust your thinking. This is going to require you to readjust your thinking, not have uh, everything that you knew from the previous map is going to apply to this one. So,
Yeah.
and
I'll
then the
think.
only other thing,
Like,
the
sorry,
only oh sorry, before the
go
only
for it.
other
Go
thing
for
that I have regarding Guild Wars is the new Demon Soldier Arturos. and then you go ahead, Mike, and you can say whatever you were going to close out.
The
So,
only thing I'm going to say is that I need Adex Follower to be revamped because he dies. He's like wet paper. All. That's all I got.
Okay.
so you may these guys, you probably encountered them when you were going up against Yimmerites. They are, well, they're called Frozen Drifters, and basically these guys come out. They'll have a chance to inflict a debuff on you, which means that if they hit you 3 times and inflict this debuff, then you're going to be frozen, and they'll just walk straight past you. So all of those Brockir double tank setups, they're gonna have a world of pain. And these guys look a little bit like the rare Reapers, just a little bit stronger. So not only are they going to hit like a Reaper, they're going to be able to freeze your tank and walk straight past it and eat anything that's right behind it.
This is great. This is great because now we're thinking about debuff removers in GvG. Like more stuff to think about. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be timing. Make sure that LON's ult does not go off when at least an opportune time when you're encountering your battles. Just to close it out in terms of what's going on here, Arcturus, we have everything, all the events going on. We have the anniversary event, chapter alpha, chapter beta, and now we're going to have an opportunity to then collect the new Void Rift mount and Helga. That's primarily the two. Here, Helga's making her appearance here in the global server already. Those in Forerunners will get an opportunity to get Helga at A1, and I'm hearing that she is a lot more fun A1, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, she's able to put out some serious damage at A1. And unfortunately, that was the end of the video, as the rest of it seems to have been corrupted and lost. We've really enjoyed having Morton Mike on with us, and I'm sure we will have him on again in the future. But do remember to like and subscribe, and check out the next episode of WoRs Going On. Remember to join the Discord and join in the conversation. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.